Good evening, guys. How you doing?
Good evening, Andrew.
How are you this fine evening?
I'm doing awesome. Go ahead and say what you got to say,
Oh, okay. Well,
because I already know.
what do you think I'm going to say?
It doesn't even matter. You just
Oh.
came on here. You too ready. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just trying to be respectful of the panel. It's like,
And I love
okay,
that.
all
I
right,
really do love that.
all right.
So I have a question. I got a question.
I can't say my position though.
I mean, if you're gonna talk.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. But anyway, I was just being humble to the host for being very kind. But anyway, when it's why are women considered less when it comes to men? I actually think that there's a category error made by women. So I think that because women actually get placed in a position of privilege via chivalry, and they get additional sorts of privileges assigned to them, that because of that, men also demand that they have greater positions of authority. And so ultimately, they're just positioning for kind of what their basic being is stating. I don't think that it's even a matter of equality. I don't even think equality is possible. So I think that if women want to stay in a position where they're the benefactors of chivalry, then they have to have the same responsibilities that men do, or else they shouldn't benefit from that.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
That'd be nice, except for women have more responsibilities. So that means more privilege.
Okay.
More responsibilities, more privilege.
What are the additional responsibilities assigned to women?
Giving birth, breastfeeding, pain. You could unalive.
So you think that,
for example,
so women
maternity leave.
So women have
men actually get maternity leave.
So you're saying women have a duty to have children?
I didn't say a duty.
Well, then how's that? Then how's that a responsibility?
Because you can't do that. Can you do it?
Yeah, but why would I need to do it if you?
We can do
yeah, but you don't have to do it.
No, you can't. No, you
So
can't.
hang on. Let me address the argument. Let me just address the argument real quick. If it is the case that you don't have to do it, like if men get drafted, they have to go to war.
No.
Women can't be drafted. That's not a duty saying that because you can do a thing that you're required to. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that men have additional responsibilities and duties that women don't have. That's my point. Yeah, but that's my point.
Hold on. For maternity leave, if I would a mom and a dad both take maternity leave, somebody got to be at home with that baby.
Yeah.
I think you get paid.
And if somebody being a main provider, that main provider should be provided.
I think you both get paid 3 months.
The problem is that
actually.
you don't. Stop capping.
Yes, you do. If you don't know anything about maternity leave,
Hold on. Most of the time, the woman stays at home with the kid while the man works. That's what happens majority of the time. They get paternity leave, not the fucking man. Let's be for real. The man works.
Okay, let's be real. It wouldn't be maternity.
Let's be realistic and not delusional. Like, come on now.
In most states, the mothers get maternity leave. Only in a few states it's called parental leave.
Yeah, exactly. That is true.
Months. What is that? 3 months?
Well, yeah, but
let's be real. 9 times out of 10, that father is not taking on maternity leave.
Yeah, he's not. He definitely not.
9 times.
But wait a second. But wait, that's good, right? Because you want the child to be home being breastfed because that's where they're going to get the primary.
Exactly.
Yeah. But hang on. But hang on. That is not a duty that you have to do this, though. This is a choice. So if it stays in the choice category, then I would argue men have way more duties and responsibilities in society than women do. Way more.
That's untrue.
Okay, well, can women? Okay, here's an easy one. Here's an easy one. Hang on. Here's an easy one. Can women be drafted? Can women be drafted?
No, they can't.
No, they can't. No, they can't. No, that's not. What's a draft? What's a draft?
They can be drafted.
No, they can't be drafted.
We need women to be drafted. They'll do it. Stop lying.
No, can they be drafted?
They're trying to pass it.
If the government wants to do it.
No, they can't be drafted. They can't be. No, they can't. Show me the law. Show me the law.
You show me the law.
Okay, here's the law. I'll give you the law.
Making the claim.
You ready?
If the government says, "Oh, we need some women to go," guess what? We going.
They're not doing that.
Okay,
We
well,
ain't got no damn choice. This is America.
They're not
They
going to
can
do
write
that.
whatever they want to.
See, this is what I mean by they go to extremes every time.
yeah. So you can hang on. So you can look up.
You said something about about getting drafted.
Wait,
You
wait.
talking about
The
men
selective.
talking about
Okay, hang on. I'm just going to explain it to you. So you can find this from the Selective Service Committee. Women cannot be drafted. There is no law in the books that women can be drafted. Federal law requires all males in the U.S. citizenry, including male immigrants, 18 through 25, to register with the Selective Services, or they can't vote.
Not
Right?
some men.
They can't own a
Okay,
gun.
let's
Hang
hear
on.
from
They
your
can't do
perspective.
any of that. They're
Let's say
required. Hang on.
women
Hang on.
can't
Let me
be
finish. Let me
drafted.
finish. Let me
We're
finish.
gonna be doing all
Can
the
you let me
jobs.
finish?
Let him talk.
We have
Please
to
let
take
me
care
let
of
me
her.
finish, and then he can respond. I promise. Well, here's my argument to you. Women right now do not have to register for the draft in order to vote. They do not have to register for the draft in order to own a firearm. They don't have to register for the draft in order to exercise their rights, whereas men do, which means men are given more responsibility in society than women already.
Okay, now let me say something.
I have a question.
Okay, so do
What
you
percentage-
think that if men get drafted in the war, it's just going to be a big old party in America, big party in the USA? No, shit got to get done. Shit's got to get fucking
I have
worked
a
on,
question.
and we're going to
What
take
are
care
you
of shit
talking
just like
about?
we did.
Then how
before.
come that's not
And
happening
then
in the
y'all try to
Ukraine?
Take away
What
our
are you
working
talking about?
privileges.
Yeah, how
Can
come
I
that's not
ask you a
happening in the
question?
Ukraine then?
Can I ask you one question? So, what percentage of the power grid that currently keeps all the lights on in America is women? What percentage of that power grid that keeps
Why
all the
the
lights
hell is
on
we
in
even
America?
talking
How
about
about you
power?
guys just relax and realize
Because-
that both parties play a huge role in
They
society
do.
and
They
stop
do.
Okay, I
competing
can-
with
I
each
can
other.
acknowledge
No,
that.
that's
I can agree
listen,
with
because
that.
that's not what the argument is.
Competing with each other instead of
I can agree with that,
Guess what?
Steph.
It's like,
Guess what?
damn,
Most
men
of
are
the men-
better, women
most
are
of the men
better.
would
Like,
agree.
chill.
Most of the
I
I
men
don't
on
think
the
women
panel
are
will
better,
agree.
but we
Most
both
of
have
the
big
men on the panel will
responsibilities,
agree.
and they just keep talking about
They
men
don't
more
have
this,
more
men like that.
responsibility.
Like,
What
please
what
shut up.
what rights do women
She's
have,
getting
men do
emotional.
not,
She's getting
and
emotional.
or
That's
vice
just how
versa?
Can you push
In a financial
person
world
out
of
your
the
Those
household,
that's not a
or-
right. Like, what are you talking about? Because you
Can
can
you
do it.
or not?
Because you
You don't
can't.
have to do that.
Biological.
Can
so we
you?
can't
Okay.
change
Can you
it.
That's
get
a choice.
pregnant?
We can't say, "Oh, I don't want to give birth today. Let him do it."
Oh, I see.
We
Pregnancy is
can't
a
do
choice.
that.
I see. So what you're saying is that you need to have genetic.
Actually, what I'm saying is we both
You
are
need to
very
have
important
genetic
to each
material
other.
from the
One's
man.
not better than the other, and one doesn't.
Yeah,
mean
it's not
more
a matter
than
of
the other.
better.
That's
We're
what
not
I'm
talking about better. We're talking about duties and
Well, that's what you're
responsibilities in
saying.
society. No. When did I say better? Ever?
Okay, well,
Okay,
Mr.
so can we
Andrew,
come?
I ask
Can
you a
we come to
question?
an agreement and say that we both are important? Yes or
No,
no?
Nobody, but
Andy-
nobody's disputing whether or not men
Okay,
and
are
women
we
are
both
important.
You should put her on the
Yes, but
podcast.
what does
You
that?
said-
What does
you
that
said
mean,
men
though?
have more duty than women.
Yes, that's
what you said.
correct. That doesn't mean that they're
Okay,
not
then
important.
We both have duty.
No, what duty do
Duty.
women have?
Duty.
No, women have no
Andrew,
duties.
Can
Yeah,
I
she's
ask you a
Zero.
question?
Oh my
please?
God.
She's immature.
Name one. Name a single duty
Okay,
that women
listen,
have.
Mr. Andrew, look, it looks like
I'm
you have a
done.
beautiful wife and a family and all that, right? Okay,
Mhm.
maybe financially you have more duty, more weight on your shoulders. But when it comes to nurturing that child, breastfeeding, and things of that nature, the woman has more weight on her shoulders. They are both equally important roles. So for you to down women and say, oh, we have more
It's not down to
responsibility
her.
Hang-
on the outside world, maybe, but on the inside world of the home, women have many
Well, let me
responsibilities.
respond because
and we're both equally important, and there's no reason to
Yeah.
compete. There's no reason to compete.
you're not. Listen, what you're saying here, you're taking this one step further than where I'm even at yet.
They always
I
do
am
that.
not. I am
It's
not
choice.
making the statement that women have no value in society or that women are not valuable. What I'm
said more
expressing
duty.
is that you don't have a duty nor responsibility to be pregnant at all,
Okay.
ever. Hang on. Nor do you have a duty or responsibility to do anything ever. So if that is the case,
Does anybody?
yes. Hang on. Yes. I had to. Stop. Let me respond before you guys start spurging. You just spurg out. Calm down.
Yeah.
If it is right, I've already given you a duty. All men have, women do not. They have to register for the selective services at 18 years old through 25, or they can't exercise any of their rights. Women have no such responsibility. Can you give me anything that's equivalent to that? Anything?
Name one duty that women have to do.
Don't say pregnancy, because that's not you.
Name
Okay, well,
one
I
duty.
will
If
give you that.
Hang on. Just let her answer. Let her answer.
There would be no
Can you
more
give me
duty. So
anything?
technically,
The only thing
women
they- the
in
only thing
general,
they
not
give
every
up-
woman has a duty to give birth, or the
No, you
Yeah,
don't.
no
society will die
woman.
out.
Does any woman have a
Yeah,
duty
no
to
woman
do
has a
that?
duty to do that.
You don't have a duty.
You don't have a
Matter.
duty.
Majority of women have a duty.
Oh,
You don't
okay.
have to do
Okay,
that.
so you
That's a
think that
choice.
You should
most
break the law.
women need to go get pregnant?
That's a choice.
Most
That's a
women
choice
need to
you
get
choose.
pregnant. Yes.
Why?
Because we didn't have pregnant women.
Well, hang on. She's speaking
And then
sense.
we wouldn't
She's
have
speaking
future
sense.
society.
That is
I
a choice.
agree.
My
Hey.
daughter's a last time, bro.
That's a
That was a
choice.
choice.
I agree.
ain't like
Every
everybody
woman
wants to,
decided
bro.
not to get
No.
pregnant.
Hang on. Let her cook.
Hold on, Andrew,
She's
let me say
right.
one thing. Let me say one
She's
thing.
right. Hang on. Almost
if we all
done.
decided that, the government probably would make some kind of crazy law forcing us to get pregnant if we all
Man,
said we
there
want
is
to.
Oh,
no
like they do with us with the
Let's not
draft?
even- let's
Like
not
they do
even-
with us with the
I
draft?
didn't say it was a law. I said, what if every woman decided
Yeah,
to stop having
well,
children?
if they
You
have a
don't think
duty-
the government would step in and say, no, y'all need to do something. Y'all need to have children. They would step in regardless. of
The
what y'all think.
government, our birth rate right now is so far under replacement rate. The government has not stepped in at all. What are you talking about?
It's not
I
not
hear you,
zero.
but when is
It's
the
not
last
zero.
time the government?
It doesn't
stepped
need to
in
be
and
zero. Do you
before
realize you have to have
Good,
two
so-
children? You have to have two children to replace mom and dad. If you're only having 1.4,
Let's
your
not act like it didn't happen. In
your
other countries.
society is contracting. So the thing is, like, the government's not telling women they have to have kids. That's nuts.
I think y'all just want to feel like y'all more important.
I think
but
that you just can't make an argument here.
I think you're delusional.
I just made an argument.
What's the argument?
You don't know what you're talking about. That's what I
Oh my god, I have to repeat myself.
you do know there's no law, right? There's no law in place. Has there ever been in place to say women have to get pregnant? There's no law at all. There's never been a law.
Zero.
And
And what's
also-
the chance? What's the chance of a war breaking out?
It's really
What are
high.
you talking about, man? We just
no,
what are you
being
talking about?
drafted.
We're
being
basically
drafted.
in war
What's
with
the
Russia.
chance of
Okay, would you like to have the
Ukraine.
history of the 20th century explained to you?
Do you know that?
Would you like the history of the 20th century explained to you when it came to the draft
Do you
and how
want
many
the
people who were
history of when they
draftees
forced
died?
people to have
Man, we
children?
literally just got out of a
Do you
war.
want the
know that,
history
right?
of when they forced people not to have boys? Do you
Man,
want the
Trump
history
just
of that?
ended
In
the
China?
war. Do you not know that?
In general,
When?
it's happened in the world.
Yeah, I agree. But what is your duty here in the United States to have children? What is it?
No. This
Our
is
duty is to put into the United States. You have to contribute in some way in majority.
Yeah, how?
Everybody can't not contribute.
Man,
How are you
I'ma be
contributing?
honest, man,
Working,
I'm gonna be honest.
Whether it be
listen.
working, helping, giving birth.
You
Yeah,
don't have a
man,
duty to
listen.
do any of those things. You don't have to
Yeah,
get a
no,
job.
majority
Hang on.
of women- if
You
we all
don't have to
stopped
get a
it,
job.
would
You don't
say
have to
we
get pregnant. You
stop
don't have to be
lying.
nice. You don't have to do
That's a choice. That's all a choice.
all of it's a
Listen,
choice.
So, man, you just said what's the odds of us going to war? Did you just say that?
Facts.
Being drafted.
Being drafted? You know we just got out of the war, right? You know that, right?
Oh my god.
You know that Trump just ended.
I
ended
said
the war, right?
drafted. I'm not talking about whatever you talking about.
That can happen any day, and the way things are looking now, it's looking very
fucking
close.
delusional.
Very close. The way things are going now.
Well, I hope you do get
The way
drafted.
things is going very
So
close.
you want to talk about
Yeah,
duty?
of course
Y'all
you
should
hope
be
you
happy
get
to go
drafted.
do
Well-
y'all's
You're immature.
You hope he gets drafted, but if he said
You know what?
if he said I hope you're
know
forced to get pregnant, how would that feel?
Y'all
Very
right
immature.
duty and y'all so ready to
She's
step
very
up for your
immature.
country.
Listen,
You don't even know how to conversate.
Y'all acting
Oh
like
my
y'all
gosh,
so
I
happy to
can't.
get drafted.
She's
Like,
definitely a
please shut
child.
up.
She's a child. I don't.
yeah,
she's like
it was
19, 18.
it was
She's a
it
kid.
was they were
She's a
talking
child.
about people getting drafted the same way they were talking about TikTok getting banned. But here we are.
So
What does that? What does
TikTok
that
did
have
get
to do with
banned.
What are you talking about?
Not to say that people never got drafted. I'm just saying it hasn't happened recently. So stop using that as like being a victim.
It happened in the 60s.
Stop
Your parents are still alive. Your parents are still alive from a generation that got drafted. What are you talking about?
I understand, but let
No, you
that.
don't understand because you're just talking nonsense.
Yeah, nonsense. Total
You don't
nonsense.
understand.
May I say
You
one
wanna
thing? I'm
live
gonna
as a
drop.
victim, that's you,
Do
baby.
anybody
This is the
want to
privilege.
drop? Because I got like 10 people.
So, host, I'm gonna drop right now.
Yeah, I'll drop.
I'm gonna drop
Andrew,
right
don't
now.
drop.
No, let him stay because he
I'ma
likes to
drop.
talk about it.
Maybe you should go in the war. That's what you should.
You know what it is? I'm gonna drop.
Well, then I
maybe
guess you have a
immature.
duty to have
Maybe
kids if I have a duty to go into a war. So maybe you should go get pregnant.
I gotta duty this. I gotta duty
Oh,
that.
smash it
Period,
with the front
duty
drop.
that.
She gotta stop being immature. She gotta grow up.